Did I ever tell you about the time that I took that 9-day intensive dog training seminar in Texas? You know, the one where I got to take a husky for 9 days and I had to learn how to live with this uncontrolled beast without the use of tools and training tools and crates and all of that good stuff. And how I went from, not going to lie, disliking this dog immensely to after the 9 days knowing that giving this dog back was going to be one of the hardest things I have ever done. Incredible transformation in spirit, not just for the dog, but for me. And today I'm going to explain to you what it was that changed for me and how you can change it too. So if you are someone who is currently frustrated with a behavior that your dog is doing, if you are someone that is actively looking and searching and trying to figure out how do I fix this one thing that my dog does that drives me crazy, this podcast episode is for you. It's slightly outside the box because if it wasn't, it wouldn't be Beyond Obedience. Am I right? Stay tuned. We're about to jump in. Let's talk about the number one thing that you can do right now to start to turn around that behavior. And this is not what you would expect. Let's go. Welcome to Beyond Obedience, the podcast, where we redefine dog companionship. Hi, I'm Tracy Franken, your guide to build a beautiful bond that transcends traditional training. Flip the script. This is where your dog is the true expert. For dog lovers who crave more than just a pocket full of treats, this is not your typical dog training podcast. This is Beyond Obedience. Hello, and welcome to Beyond Obedience. We are on podcast episode number 10. Can you believe it? 10 episodes already. I'm so super excited and thankful. I want to take this time to shout out to all the people who've reached out, who have left the 5-star ratings, who have left the reviews on Apple Podcasts. For those of you that aren't on Apple Podcasts that sent me messages saying, hey, I can't leave you a review, but I'm loving the podcast. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And if you don't mind, I'll use those as testimonials. But it is a great boost for a brand new podcast like this one to get out to reach more and more dog lovers like you. And hey, if you want to take it one step further, feel free to just share the episodes on your socials. Be like, Tracy said some smart things in this episode. Feel free to share it. Let people know that they should subscribe. Anything helps a brand new podcast like this one. And for those of you who have done that, thank you so much. So today on the podcast, I actually wanted to talk about, well, I thought it was the number one relationship killer when it comes to what ends relationships. I don't know. You Google it. There's so many things that can blow up your relationship, and your relationship with your dog is no different. But if it were me, one of the things that I think is a major component to what breaks down relationships is the idea of unmet expectations. Unmet expectations. You had an expectation in your life when, we're just jumping right in. I just realized we're just jumping right in. Sometimes Tracy just starts talking. You can't stop me, but whatever. We'll do it. We're on it now. Chances are, you had an expectation when you brought home your puppy, when you adopted your new dog, whatever the situation was, you had an expectation. Whether you verbalized that expectation or really thought it through, but somewhere you had an expectation of what this relationship with your dog was going to be. You thought it was going to mean, it's going to sound like a dating app. So, you thought it was going to be long walks on the beach and calm, peaceful nights in the evening watching movies with your best, furriest little friend. You thought it was going to be car rides and peace and joy and fun. And you might now be struggling a little bit because some of those expectations that you have are not being met. Perhaps your dog is pulls on the leash and you don't enjoy the walks anymore. Perhaps your dog is reactive and you can't take the dog to the beach because that would be crazy and mayhem. Perhaps you have a dog that is digging up your flower bed and you're just beside yourself going, why are you wrecking all the things that I love? Perhaps that's what's going on in your life. And I wanted to take a moment to say that there also is another side to this story, which is the dog side, because the dog had expectations as well. The dog, your dog, when you brought your dog into your life, your dog had expectations. And maybe some of those expectations were the same, the long walks on the beach, the adventures, the whatever it is. But your dog had some expectations too. But one of the things your dog didn't expect, and I'm going to go back to it's one of my favorite quotes ever from the book A Dog's Mind, Dr. Bruce Vogel's quote, and you'll hear it more and more because I really want to drive home this point, is that a dog doesn't expect to be treated like a human. A dog expects a human to act like a dog, to participate in group activities, to play, to hunt together, and to sleep in the same den. That is a quote from A Dog's Mind by Dr. Bruce Vogel. And I love that quote because it's that reminder that while you have expectations, your dog has expectations too. And they probably weren't what you thought. The dog didn't expect to be treated like a furry little human. The dog expected you to act like a dog. The dog expected you to run around and hunt in the field with them. The dog expected you to play like a dog plays, which is pretty rough if you've seen dogs play. The dog expected to sleep in the same den with you, and yet you put him in a crate, right? The dog expected to do all of these dog-like things with you, and perhaps, there are some unmet expectations happening on the dog side. And when we have these unmet expectations on both sides, that's where we get cracks in our foundation of our relationship. We start to see these cracks because that frustration that both of you might be feeling is going to start to wear away at that foundation of your relationship. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about how we can start to mend that without the traditional things, because our first thought is we need to fix the dog's behavior, right? That's our first thought. The dog's pulling on the leash. I need to fix that. The dog is digging in my garden. I need to fix that. The dog is jumping up on people. I need to fix that. And while that might be true, if you are in a cycle of frustration where you're doing the same things and they're not working and the dog isn't getting any better, and you're finding yourself, I just don't want to take my dog for a walk. Now I just don't want my dog to be around other people. Now I can't take my dog the places that I want to take my dog because I know there's going to be people there. If you're stuck in that, then your relationship is going to start to really be affected by this for both you and your dog. So what do we do about it? Oh, I'm glad you asked. What do we do about it? All right, so okay. I want you guys to just play along with me. Play along with this game for a second. If you can, if you're not driving, grab a pen and a piece of paper, okay? Just play along. Play along with me for a second. Because this is what I want you to do. Okay, grab a pen and a piece of paper. And I want you to essentially, first of all, I want you to start off by writing out the things that your dog is great at. I want you to start there. So just start writing down the things that your dog is great at, the things that you love about your dog. My dog's a great cuddler. My dog seems to know when I'm sad. And my dog is really, really good at whatever. Fill in the blanks. I want you to find a bunch of things that your dog is really, really good at. And why is this important? Because sometimes when we are so solely focused on fixing the behavior problems, we get caught up in this negative side of this, the things that we have to fix. We only see the things that are broken. We don't see the things that are just perfect. Okay? So start there. I want you to start there. So take some time and just say, like, these are the things that I love about. What do you love about your dog? Obviously, you still love your dog. I'm not saying you don't. I'm not saying you don't love your dog. You love your dog, but you're frustrated. So start there. Write a list. What are those things that your dog is absolutely brilliant, great at? Absolutely brilliant and great at. What are those things? Write those down. Okay. Now, if you're really stuck in a frustration cycle and all you've been seeing is the negative, here's the fun part. Now I want you to write down the things that are frustrating you right now. Feel free. Flip the page over if you need to. Feel free to write down the things that your dog is doing that is frustrating you. Okay, so let's say we're going to use some examples here. Let's say your dog is digging holes in your garden. I want you to write that down. My dog, is digging holes in my garden, right? My dog is running away from me and doesn't come back when he's called, right? Highly distracted, doesn't listen to me, runs away when I'm calling him. Okay, put that down. Jumping up on people. Put that down if that's a thing that's happening. My dog jumps up on people, and that drives me crazy. My dog barks all the time. Drives me crazy. Whatever it is, write them all down. Write them all down. Put them all on a piece of paper. These are the things. These are your frustrations. Okay? So once you've got that list, okay, now here's where I want you to turn this around just a little bit. Okay, I want you to turn this around just a little bit. And I'm going to share a story at the end of this and why this is so important. Okay, so let's go with the examples I used. What did I say? Digging holes in the garden. All right, now beside digging holes in the garden, I want you to put something positive about that. What's the positive thing about the dog's behavior of digging holes in the garden? I don't know. Your dog's a hard worker. That dog is a hard worker. Look at how hard my dog is working. Digging holes in my garden. What a hard worker. Just play along. Running away from me, chasing after squirrels or whatever it was. Running away, not coming when they're called. My dog is really focus driven. Wow, look at the focus my dog has. It's not on me, but that dog is focused on running away and catching that squirrel. That is a focus driven dog. I want you to put that beside it. This is fun, right? Jumping on people. Look at how my dog can jump and jump and jump and jump on people, no matter how many times you tell him not to do that. I don't know. Let's say your dog's athletic. Put that down beside jumping on people. Athletic. Whatever. Use whatever words you want to do. I'm going to use athletic. Your dog's athletic. Okay. Barking. Barking is annoying. Barking. My dog's very expressive. Look at how expressive my dog is. My dog is so expressive. All right. You're like, Tracy, what is the point of all of this? Okay, here's my point. When we get so hyper-focused on all the things that are wrong with the dog, and we get so focused on how do we fix what's wrong with the dog, we forget to see the things that are right with the dog. Now, the things that you wrote on the first side of your page, all the things that you love about the dog, the dog's a great color, the dog's really sweet, the dog is really perceptive, all of those things, whatever you put over there, those are the things that you're aware of. But what you may not be aware of is, believe it or not, the things that your dog is doing, the things that are making you crazy, are still part of your dog's skill set. They're just not the skills that you want, right? Digging in the garden is a skill set. Digging holes is something in your dog's genetic resume, and it actually is part of their strengths. We just don't like it. Right? Running away from you, chasing a squirrel and not coming back when they're called is part of your dog's strengths. That is them tapping into an innate drive to focus, eye stalk, chase, grab, kill, bite, dissect, and consume. That's their predatory motor pattern. That is actually a skill set. Jumping up on people, that athleticism that we can see, or jumping over a fence even, is that athletic part of the dog. Jumping up on people is them adapting to a greeting ritual that you taught them. And I know we don't like to hear that, but that is the actual truth of it. Dogs that jump up on people have been taught that humans like to be greeted by having face-to-face contact, because you and everyone else around them, when that puppy was little and tiny, picked up that puppy, put the puppy into their face and kissed them. So that dog, although they were like, well, this is a crazy ritual, but I'm in for it, that dog adapted. So your dog has an adaptive ability to learn new greeting rituals based on the species that they are with in the moment. I mean, that is an incredible talent. Barking. The dog is being expressive. I was reading about, I was doing some interviews recently with some people that have some fear reactive dogs. And one of the ladies I was talking to had a Karelian dog, which I was like, I don't even know what that is. I had to look that up. But what an impressive dog. That dog is a bear hunter. But these dogs are actually trained to have different barks depending upon what they have treed or cornered, to tell the hunters what to expect. Because, sidebar, if you're hunting bear and you have a Karelian bear dog out there and they're like, they've treated a bear, you want to know that. Like, the dog would be like, hey, just so you know, there's a real angry bear I put up in a tree there. You might want to get your gun ready. That is an incredible talent. And the fact that dogs have learned to increase their vocal variety and range is a statement to how they, again, have adapted to humans, because we are chatty species. And dogs have learned that that's what gets them things. So whenever we have a behavior that we don't like, if we can stop and reframe it for just a second into the brilliance of what that dog is, it is going to change your emotional response to the dog's behavior, because it is, in fact, your emotional response, your frustration, your embarrassment, your shame, your guilt, all of those negative responses that you have to your dog's quote unquote bad behavior is what is fueling all of the stuff that comes up with that behavior. It's not allowing you to get past it. And so, for example, whenever I hear about dogs digging in gardens and people are getting frustrated with that, I always talk about this idea of, let's teach the dog not to not dig, but how to dig. Where are we going to have an opportunity for this dog to do the things that it is bred and born to do? Because it's way easier to tell a dog, no, not here or not now, than it is to tell a dog not ever. For that dog that's running away, that prey-driven dog that's running away, chasing the squirrel and not listening to you, that dog's got massive drive and focus. How can we take that drive and focus and make you a more influential and center of that dog's focus? Because there are ways for you to do that. Rather than trying to correct them or repeating, recall drills and all that stuff, there are ways to make yourself more influential in your dog's life, so that that same drive that drives you crazy is now a drive that lights you up. So how is this, or where did this come from for me in that story of Jace that I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast? So as I mentioned, I got this dog. He was I'm trying to find a nice way to, he was a ding dong. He was a, he was a ding dog. I was frustrated. I did not like this dog. This dog jumped all over me. This dog bit me. He was grabbing at my hands. He pulled on, oh my gosh, he pulled me so much on the leash. I had so many, I was popping Tylenol and Advils just to sort of get by. It was a rough time. But where I saw the biggest change that happened was one of the exercises that we do a lot of is this idea of, environmental agility. This is, and if you're wondering where I took this course, this is from my incredible mentor, Nelson Hodges. So, Nelson talks a lot about, using environmental agility and, whatever's around you, getting the dogs to do things. And we would go to this little park and get the dogs to get up on things. There's a picnic table and play structures for kids, which no kids were there, but there were just a bunch of different things. So we were trying to get the dogs to do things like get up on the picnic table, go under the picnic table, get up on the, on the play structure, that sort of thing. But there was this one moment, and I'm admittingly, Jace and I were both getting bored of the exercise, because I was like, okay, there's only so many times you can put a dog up on a picnic table. So this one time I was walking past the front of the PlayStation, and it had PlayStation. That's a video game. Play structure. And it had one of those really tall slides, you know, the ones with the bump in the middle. When we were kids, we used to try to like fly off of those. So it was this really, really tall slide. And I was walking him past, and he started to pull towards there because there was people on the top platform and whatnot. And he was like, he liked to be a pain in my butt. So he was going to like go up there, and I stopped him because one, I'm like, you're not going up there because I'm not going to have you on top of there with when there's dogs up there. But I stopped him for a second, and I looked at him. I'm like, you wouldn't even be able to make that jump, dude. Like, you're gonna hurt yourself because you're gonna hit the slide and then slide down. And anyway, the person that was on the top left, and he kept on kind of pulling towards it. And I thought, you know what? Whatever. Fine, try it. Do you, boo. You know, so I gave him the length of the leash, and I kind of was like, let's go. And I ran him up towards it. And did this dog, not only did he make it, he cleared it. Like, he cleared it from the ground and leapt up. I think his back foot hit just above the like where the hump of the slide was, but it was like a little step, and then he was on the platform. And I was like, holy moly. Like, I was like, how did you even, and I didn't even know how to get him down now because I had no anticipation that this dog would make it. And I was like, dude, look what you just did. Well, after that, I had to basically hurry to get him sort of down because I didn't want him to come back down the slide. So I had to like help and get him down. I got him down, and he was so excited about my delight in the fact that he had done this incredible feat that he turned to do it again. And I was like, dude, you can't. And all of a sudden, before I knew it, he was like leapt back up there with his tail wagging. And it was the first time that this dog actually was interested in what I was doing. Like, he was showing off for me. And I was like, I was here for it. I was like, oh my gosh, look at you. So I took him down, and there was this like half wall thing that they had at the edge of the park that I think had the sign of like the name of the park or whatnot on it, but it's a big stone wall. And I was like, do you think you could make that? Did the dog not scale the wall? And I was like, what? And it blew my mind. And for the rest of the day, that dog was like trying things and doing stuff, and I was in awe. And it was funny because at the one time there was this area that was on the other side, and there was chickens. Random thing, but I don't know where the chickens came from, or if someone in that house, there was a chicken there. Anyway, there was chickens there. And I took him over to there thinking, you know, I'm just going to get him to try stuff. And when I saw the chickens for a moment, I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to like pull me off my feet to get those chickens. He saw the chicken because he sort of stopped for a second. And then I looked at him, I'm like, hey, can you get up on this? And he immediately turned and jumped up on the thing that I was asking him. And I was like, this dog is amazing. And after that, I started to look for more challenging things for him and I to do. And it became like almost like a game. Like, can I find like weird things that Jace can get up on or Jace can get through and whatnot? And if he did it, I was delighted in it. And even if he tried, I was like, oh my gosh, good try. That change in me sparked a change in him that I believe was one of the biggest turning points in our relationship. It was incredible. And I, you know, in the reflection back on my time there, it was literally the fact that I had taken those same things, the pulling on the leash and the jumping up and all of the high energy stuff, and I found a way to, one, let him do it, and two, delight in it. I got to see the awe that was the dog, the brilliance of this dog, because he was brilliant, right? And I was just so clouded in all of the things that he was doing wrong, the things that he was hurting me, he was pulling me, he was doing all that. So when that changed for him, the change that happened after that was incredible. I now, without the use of training techniques, stops and starts or training collars or using food or getting distraction. At the end of 9 days, this dog walked with me. This dog walked with me. Now, did he walk at a perfect heel? No, because I didn't teach him that. But he didn't pull me anymore. And he quite often would go and look for stuff and then turn around and look at me and go, hey, you come and see this. Want to see this? Like, he was so engaged with me, and I delighted in the things that he did, that all of a sudden, in a very short time, without the use of tools and treats and techniques, I had a dog that went from pulling me off my feet, dragging me down the street, biting my arm, jumping up on me, stealing my stuff, to a dog that walked nicely with me, asked if I wanted to be with him, constantly was engaged with me, laid down at my feet in the training center with all these other dogs that he would normally like to have played with. That dog, he used to come in and sleep at my feet. Wait for me to come, wait for me to catch up. Like it was such a transformation in spirit that to this day, he's one of the reasons why I created my my signature program, Relationship Remedy. He is the heart and the soul of everything that I put in that and my natural horsemanship. But Relationship Remedy is my online program, and all of that came from that incredible journey of learning how to be with a dog in the way that a dog was. So let's look at that quote just one more time, because you know that I love Dr. Bruce Fogel, but I'm going to say it again. A dog doesn't expect to be treated like a human. A dog expects a human to act like a dog, to participate in group activities, to play, to hunt together, and to sleep in the same den. And that's what I did. So there you have it. The number one thing that could be wrecking your relationship is unmet expectations. You have unmet expectations with your dog, but your dog may also have unmet expectations from you. And if you can remedy that and figure out the things that your dog does, why and how it makes them brilliant, find a way to take those things that are driving you crazy and turn it into something brilliant. I'm telling you right now, everything in your life with your dog will get easier. So there you go. That is episode number 10 here. Unmet expectations, how to turn it around. I hope you did the exercise. I hope you wrote down the things that your dog is brilliant at, the things that are frustrating you, and then trying to find a way to turn that narrative around so that you can see the brilliance and the beauty in your dog every single day to help you and your dog have the best relationship possible. Hey, listen, I mentioned it just there. I'm going to mention it again. If you haven't checked out Relationship Remedy, if that's something that you're interested in learning more about this stuff, be sure to do that over on beyondobedience.ca/relationship remedy. If you aren't on my mailing list, why aren't you on the mailing list? Get on that mailing list. Get on that mailing list. Hang out. Come over to beyondobedience.ca. Stay on the page for a second. A little pop-up menu is going to come up and say, do you want to be part of the Canine Chronicles? You're going to be like, heck yeah, I want to be part of that. Sign up for that. Be on the waiting list. That way you never miss an update. You never miss anything. Anything coming from me will come on that mailing list. And as always, get out there today and be the person that your dog thinks you are. Because your dog thinks you're amazing. And so do I. Have a great week, everybody, and I will talk to you all